Hi there folks, today we're going to learn how to winterize an outboard motor. The motor that we're working on today is this beautiful 1999 Johnson 200, but this process applies to pretty much any outboard motor, 2-stroke, 4-stroke, whatever. It really doesn't matter how old it is. When do you want to do this? You want to do this definitely before first frost, if you have frost in your region, or if you're going to be putting your motor up and not using it for a couple of months. This is the process to help protect it so that when you go and start it up again, it's going to fire up and run just as good as it did when you put it away. Winterizing your outboard motor is really just the management of water and making sure that we don't have it where it's not supposed to be. Water can cause corrosion and rust, and it can also freeze and crack as it expands. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to stabilize the gas and run that through the carburetors or the fuel injection system. In this case, it's carburetors on this outboard motor. What I have here is a product called Stable. This is one that I recommend. Works really good. It's got this handy little pump thing, so you can squeeze it and measure out how much you want, and how much they recommend is written on the back. So I have about a gallon of fuel left in here, so I'm going to use the amount of Stable that's recommended for that. Dump it in. Give it a little shake. And then I'm going to circulate it a little bit so that Stable gets all through the lines and everything. Very good. So now we're going to run it with this Stable gasoline for a little bit, let it warm up, let it get all through the thermostats, let the water get all through the thermostats and all that, and make sure that you get plenty of Stable burned through the motor and through all the carburetors. This brings us to steps number 2 and 3. First off, I'm going to be using clean water to flush the whole motor out, get any last piece of brackish or salt water out. Try and get any sand or anything that could possibly be in your motor. Make sure that it all runs clean. As I'm running this motor, when it's time to stop, I'm going to take some fogging oil, and what I like to do is I will squirt some fogging oil into the carburetor so that the motor sucks it all in. This will help me lubricate up my reed valves and the upper end of the motor and all that. It's safe to burn, it's fine. I mean, I don't go drenching, I just give a little squirt into all the intakes until it starts to poof out the back. Alright, now, so far what we've done is we've added stabilizer to the gas and put that in the carburetors. We have squirted fogging oil into the front end of the motor, and we have thoroughly flushed out with good water the entire coolant system. What we're going to do now is take out each of the spark plugs. We're going to spray the same fogging oil into each cylinder head, and then we're going to hand tighten down the spark plugs. Remember, when you go to start this motor up again, it's going to smoke like hell as all that lubricant is going to get burned out, but it should clear out. Just like that. Spark plug back in. We're going to do all 6 of them, and then it's a good idea to just rotate it around either by the starter motor or by hand. Rotate the flywheel around a couple times really to mix things up. Instead of water, some people will actually use a special marine antifreeze to send all through the coolant system. Make absolutely sure that any fluid that's left in the coolant system doesn't freeze and expand and crack anything. I don't do that. Not knocking the process. I mean, if you want to do that, that's fine. You can get it at any marina or whatever. However, I find that if you store your motor as vertical as possible, it's basically not tilted up, so just sitting sort of like this one is, I haven't had any problems because these things are designed to completely drain out as they stand up like this. A big reason why you don't want to tilt your motor up is water can actually collect in here. Rainwater will go in there, and then it will freeze and crack, and it will split your lower unit. Speaking of lower units, you're going to want to change your lower unit oil. If you have any kind of a leak in any of your seals over the summer, you might have some water in there mixed in with the oil. The water can cause damage to bearings, gears, etc. Steal things in there. So you definitely want to change it out and assess the quality of it as you do it, so that you know that before you start this thing up next season, you need to change your lower unit seals. I have a video out on that, so I'm not going to go through it in this one, but I'll link it to it. Next we have this little grease fitting, one here and one here. And this greases up this axle that the motor rotates on. It's a good idea to fill them with grease and then send your motor all the way up, tilt it up. See how this is where it rotates? Tilt it all the way up and all the way back to distribute that grease. Make sure that's nice and greasy. That'll keep out any rainwater that'll collect here and possibly seize up this. Last thing, guys, if you can, if your motor is easy enough to carry, think about taking it inside and putting it in your garage for the winter time. See, here's our main road. These are where I keep my project boats. Ask me why this one's missing an outboard. Ask me why my stainless steel propeller is missing. Yeah, if you can carry your motor, bring it in so it doesn't get stolen. Alrighty, one down, 40 to go.